Every day it feels like artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
AI. It isn't just some buzzword anymore, right? It feels like a force that's actively reshaping our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the apps on our phones, maybe how we do our jobs, there's this real sense that a new era is unfolding, like right now.
Yeah, you can really feel it.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into a really pivotal document. It just came out in July 2025. It's called America's AI Action Plan.
Right, published by the White House, signed by President Trump.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a list of ideas. It's laid out as a pretty comprehensive strategy for the U.S. to lead and, well, maybe even dominate in the world of AI.
And what's really central to this plan is how explicit it is. It says the U.S. is in a race to achieve global dominance in artificial intelligence.
A race?
Yeah. And the stakes are described as incredibly high. The document's pretty clear. Whoever leads this race gets to set the global standards for AI, and they reap significant economic and military benefits. There's a quote from President Trump in there that really drives it home. He says, "It is a national security imperative for the United States to achieve and maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance."
Unquestioned and unchallenged. I mean, that's an incredibly bold statement to lead with, isn't it?
It is very direct.
And the vision it paints, it's just incredibly ambitious. The plan suggests winning this race will kick off a, quote, new golden age of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security for the American people.
Yeah, it goes even further. It calls it an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once.
All at once. It certainly sounds transformative, but, I mean, is that kind of vision really achievable? You have to wonder, what are the hidden challenges maybe under the surface of such a bold plan?
It's definitely a profound promise, aiming for, well, a complete societal transformation, not just a tech upgrade.
Exactly. So our mission here, for you listening, is to understand what this incredibly ambitious plan actually means. For your work, maybe your family, your future, how does the country aim to navigate all this?
And it's structured around 3 key pillars, plus some guiding principles.
Right. So let's jump into the first one. Pillar A is accelerate AI innovation. Okay, so unpacking this, what really jumped out at me here is the focus on making it easier for American companies, researchers, to invent and use AI. It sounds like, clearing the path for builders. But why is that speed so critical specifically for AI? Is it just about competition?
Well, that's a key insight. The core idea is fostering this private sector-led innovation environment, and the plan really hammers on removing red tape and onerous regulation.
Okay.
And it's not just like general deregulation talk. It seems to recognize that AI moves so fast, exponentially fast, that any day lost to bureaucracy is a potential competitive disadvantage globally.
Right, makes sense.
So, for example, rescinding a previous administration's executive order on AI on day one, that's not just symbolic, it's meant as a concrete signal, an immediate aggressive pivot towards a kind of speed-first approach for AI regulation, which is, well, pretty different from how we usually manage other industries, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They even talk about encouraging federal agencies to maybe limit funding to states if those states have burdensome AI regulations, really trying to push that idea nationwide.
Okay, so speed is key. But then there's this other principle woven in, ensuring AI reflects American values and free speech. That gets really interesting, especially with all the talk we hear about bias in algorithms. But enforcing, objective truth or stopping ideological bias in AI seems incredibly complex, almost philosophical maybe. How does the plan actually propose tackling something so abstract in, practical terms? What are the hurdles?
That is a really important question. It touches the foundation of how these systems are built, what info they use, what they reflect. The plan states AI must be free from ideological bias and pursue objective truth.
Okay. And it gets specific. It calls for evaluating foreign models, specifically mentioning those from the People's Republic of China, checking if they align with Chinese Communist Party talking points and censorship.
Interesting.
So in essence, it's about trying to make sure that AI, which, let's face it, increasingly shapes how you get information, is a tool for objective information, not social engineering agendas or propaganda, trying to ensure the data, the algorithms, are as neutral as possible.
A tall order. And what about open source AI? That sounds like a great way to spur innovation, right?
Yeah.
But how does the plan balance that openness with security concerns or responsible use.
Right. Open source and open weight AI models are seen as crucial. They act like public building blocks, basically, freely available.
Okay.
And that's a massive benefit for startups, academics, even government agencies. They can modify them, use them without being locked into one single closed provider.
Yeah. The plan highlights ensuring access to large-scale computing power for these groups, startups, academics. It even suggests improvements to financial markets for compute power, things like spot and forward markets for commodities.
Like for oil or grain, but for computing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it like booking compute power in advance or buying it on the fly when you need it, just like industries manage electricity or other commodities. The aim is to make that high-end computing more accessible, more predictable for everyone, not just the big players.
Okay, that's fascinating. So beyond just developing the AI, there's this strong push for AI adoption. What does that actually mean for everyday industries, for you and me, outside of the tech bubble?
Yeah, it means getting AI out of the labs and into, widespread use. The plan sees slow adoption as a bottleneck, especially in, quote, large established organizations and critical sectors like healthcare.
Ah, okay.
So the goal is to establish a dynamic try-first culture for AI.
A try-first culture.
Yeah. This includes creating regulatory sandboxes. These are basically safe spaces to test out AI tools, maybe new regulations too, in a controlled way without, massive immediate risk.
Gotcha.
And they also plan domain-specific efforts: healthcare, energy, agriculture, developing standards, measuring productivity gains. So for you, think about how AI could maybe streamline your doctor's visits or improve energy efficiency in your home, or even optimize how food is produced, making things more efficient, maybe lowering costs.
That brings us to the jobs question. We hear so many headlines, right? AI taking jobs. This plan seems to emphasize empowering American workers. How do they actually see AI affecting the workforce? Is it replacement or something else?
This is framed as a core principle, a worker-first AI agenda, they call it. The plan explicitly states AI will improve the lives of Americans by complementing their work, not replacing it.
Complementing, not replacing.
Right. The insight seems to be that they see AI not necessarily as a job destroyer, but more as a catalyst for, job transformation, for upskill.
Okay, so what does that mean practically for listeners?
Well, if you're working now or maybe thinking about reskilling, this could mean potential support for adapting. The plan calls for prioritizing AI skill development in education, in workforce funding, integrating it into career and technical education, CTE, and apprenticeships. And what's really strategic, perhaps, is the mention of potential tax-free reimbursement for AI-related training from employers. That could really help scale up private investment in training.
Tax-free reimbursement, interesting.
Yeah, and also rapid retraining for individuals impacted by AI-related job displacement, coordinated through the Department of Labor, piloting new approaches.
Okay, so support for transition. Now, lastly, for this first pillar, protecting innovation, but also combating misuse. What stands out to you about the legal system and synthetic media? Deepfakes.
Yeah, the plan tackles malicious deepfakes head-on. Audio, video, photos. It acknowledges they present novel challenges to the legal system, like the idea of fake evidence being used in court. That's a scary thought.
It really is.
It specifically mentions the Take It Down Act, which was championed by First Lady Melania Trump. That focuses on protecting people from those awful, non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfakes.
Right.
But beyond that, the plan calls for NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, to develop a formal guideline and a companion voluntary forensic benchmark for evaluating deepfakes. Basically tools to help figure out what's real and what's fake.
Standards and tools.
Exactly. And the Department of Justice is tasked with issuing guidance for agencies on how to adopt these deepfake standards in, legal adjudications. It really shows the government trying to grapple with this very real, very immediate concern lots of us have about, digital authenticity and how it could mess with justice and public trust.
It's clear they're thinking about these immediate risks, but wow, for all this innovation and protection to actually happen, it needs a huge foundation, right?
Absolutely.
And that brings us to maybe the most physical part of this plan, Pilataris, building American AI infrastructure. When we talk AI, it's easy to just think software code.
Right, the invisible stuff.
But this pillar is all about the physical things, the factories, the data centers, and crucially, the energy needed to power it all.
Yeah, this is where the plan connects AI to really tangible, large-scale construction energy policy. The document states it very plainly. AI is the first digital service in modern life that challenges America to build vastly greater energy generation than we have today.
Vastly greater.
It even uses that phrase, build, baby, build. If you've ever thought about how much power tech uses now, AI just takes that to a whole new level. It needs a massive upgrade to our national infrastructure. Otherwise, that itself becomes the bottleneck.
So what does that mean in practical terms? How do they plan to actually get all this new infrastructure built quickly?
Well, it means streamlined permitting for data centers, semiconductor manufacturing facilities, and energy infrastructure. Faster approvals.
Go cutting red tape again.
Exactly. The plan mentions establishing new categorical exclusions under NEPA. That's the big environmental law, the National Environmental Policy Act. These exclusions would basically fast-track data center construction approvals for certain types of projects. It also talks about expanding processes like FAST-41. That's an existing program designed to speed up environmental reviews and permits for major infrastructure projects, and even making federal lands potentially available for construction.
Wow.
So you know how long and complicated it can be to get a big construction project approved? This plan is basically trying to hit the fast-forward button for anything critical to AI infrastructure.
And the energy grid itself, I mean, is it ready for this kind of huge jump in demand?
That's a central question. The plan details a pretty comprehensive strategy. Develop a grid to match the pace of AI innovation. It talks about 3 phases.
3 phases.
Yeah. First, stabilize the existing grid, make it more reliable now. Second, optimize the resources we already have, things like advanced grid management, making power lines more efficient.
Okay, smart use first.
Right. And then, phase 3 is grow the grid for the future. And it explicitly says we need to prioritize the interconnection of reliable, dispatchable power sources.
Reliable and dispatchable, meaning?
Meaning power you can count on, that you can turn on when you need it, not just intermittent sources. And it says we need to embrace new energy generation sources at the technological frontier.
Like what?
It gives examples: enhanced geothermal, nuclear fission, even nuclear fusion. So really looking at advanced, powerful sources.
That's huge.
It is. For anyone worried about power reliability or just future energy needs, this is a massive undertaking. It impacts everything: your homes, power, industry, national security, how our country functions and grows.
Now, a huge part of this infrastructure push is restore American semiconductor manufacturing. The plan calls it critical for AI dominance. But we know this industry is global, incredibly expensive, complex. What are the biggest hurdles the U.S. faces in actually achieving this, beyond just, wanting the economic benefits?
You're hitting on a really crucial point. Semiconductors, chips, they're the brains of AI, literally. And yes, America invented the semiconductor, but manufacturing mostly moved overseas over decades.
Right.
The plan says we must bring semiconductor manufacturing back to U.S. soil, but the hurdles are immense, you're right. It takes massive capital investment, billions and billions, developing a highly specialized workforce, competing with established global supply chains that are very efficient.
Sounds tough.
It is. But the plan sees the benefits beyond just the thousands of high-paying jobs as absolutely critical, reinforcing our tech leadership, protecting supply chains from, geopolitical shocks or disruptions. So it's framed as both a national security imperative and an economic opportunity, making sure we control the production of these vital components.
Okay. And all this new infrastructure, the data centers, the chip fabs, the power plants, who's going to build all that? Operate it. Maintain it. Sounds like a whole new wave of jobs needed.
It absolutely does. And that leads right into the plan's focus on train a skilled workforce for AI infrastructure.
The workforce piece again.
Yes, but specifically for these infrastructure roles. Investing in training for jobs like electricians, advanced HVAC technicians, and just a whole host of other, often high-paying occupations essential for these facilities.
So, skilled trades.
Exactly. The plan calls for a national initiative to identify these high-priority jobs, develop the right skill frameworks, support industry-led training programs, and expand the pipeline early through general education, CTE, registered apprenticeships.
So for listeners maybe looking for career growth or thinking about their kids' futures,
this identifies major growth areas in skilled trades, often with good wages, and directly connected to the country's big push in technology.
Okay. And finally, under infrastructure, bolstering critical infrastructure, cybersecurity. How does AI fit in here? Is it the solution or part of the problem?
Well, that's the paradox, isn't it? AI systems are seen as both a potential threat, but also a powerful tool for cybersecurity. The plan notes AI can be used for both cyber offense and defense. The goal is to make sure our critical infrastructure, power grids, water systems, things we all rely on, are protected from attacks, both conventional cyber attacks and maybe new AI-driven ones.
And how do they propose to do that?
One specific suggestion is establishing an AI Information Sharing and Analysis Center, an AI ISAC. Basically, a hub to share threat intelligence related to AI cyber threats. It's about safeguarding those essential services, trying to use AI's own capabilities to stay ahead of cyber threats, which are just getting more and more sophisticated.
Okay, so innovation is accelerating, the infrastructure is being built up. That's the domestic picture. Ambitious, to say the least.
Definitely.
But AI is inherently global, right? So how does this plan position the U.S. on the international stage? That brings us to pillar the third, leading in international AI diplomacy and security. What's the goal here?
The plan's very direct about this. The U.S. must drive adoption of American AI systems, computing hardware, and standards throughout the world. It's about using our current lead to build a global alliance of sorts around our approach to AI.
Drive adoption worldwide.
Yeah. And it warns that a failure to meet this demand would be an unforced error, causing these countries to turn to our rivals. So there's a real sense of urgency in this diplomatic push. If we don't provide the systems and standards, someone else will.
And how does the plan propose countering, say, Chinese influence in these global AI discussions? Especially around governance and standards, we hear a lot about that.
It specifically addresses that. It notes that lots of international bodies are proposing AI governance frameworks, but it argues that too many have been influenced by Chinese companies attempting to shape standards for facial recognition and surveillance, things that maybe don't align with U.S. values. So the U.S. intends to vigorously advocate for international AI governance approaches that promote innovation, reflect American values, and counter authoritarian influence. Think of it like a global debate. How should this powerful tech be used? The U.S. wants its values free speech, individual rights baked into the global standards rather than a more authoritarian state-controlled model.
Okay, promoting American values globally. But beyond diplomacy, what about stopping the actual sophisticated tech, the hardware, from falling into the wrong hands? Adversaries getting access.
That's a critical piece. Strengthening AI compute export control enforcement and plugging loopholes in existing semiconductor manufacturing export controls. The stated goal is simple: deny foreign adversaries access to this resource.
How?
Well, the plan explores leveraging new and existing location verification features on advanced AI compute. Basically, ways to track where these powerful chips are physically located to make sure they aren't diverted to countries of concern.
Like GPS for chips.
It's sort of, yeah. Technical measures to enforce controls. It also calls for new export controls on semiconductor manufacturing subsystems, the equipment used to make the chips, to close existing gaps. This is squarely about national security in a high-tech world, trying to ensure our cutting-edge tech doesn't end up empowering potential adversaries.
Makes sense. And finally, there are these two big, maybe more futuristic national security risks AI might introduce: supercharged cyber attacks and biological threats. What does the plan say about those? What measures are proposed?
This really gets into the high-stakes, unforeseen risks of very powerful AI. The plan acknowledges that the most powerful AI systems may pose novel national security risks in the near future, specifically mentioning cyber attacks and the development of CBRNE, weapons, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, or explosive.
Scary stuff.
It is. It details a need to evaluate frontier AI systems for national security risks. This would be done in partnership with the AI developers themselves, assessing potential vulnerabilities, but also checking for malign foreign influence arising from the use of adversaries' AI systems in critical infrastructure.
Okay, evaluating the risks. And what about biosecurity specifically? How could AI make that worse?
The plan highlights that AI could potentially create new pathways for malicious actors to synthesize harmful pathogens and other biomolecules, basically making it easier for bad actors to design dangerous biological agents.
Right.
The proposed solution is a multi-tiered approach designed to screen for malicious actors. It would require institutions getting federal research funding to use tools that have robust nucleic acid sequence screening and customer verification procedures, basically checks and balances built into the biotech tools themselves.
So safeguards.
Exactly. It shows the government trying to be proactive about these really high-level, cutting-edge threats that AI might enable, things that directly impact public safety and national defense.
So there you have it. That's our deep dive into America's AI Action Plan. We've walked through its three big pillars. First, accelerating AI innovation, cutting red tape, focusing on American values. Second, building American AI infrastructure. That massive push for energy, for chip manufacturing here at home.
Right, physical build-out.
And third, leading in international AI diplomacy and security, promoting our standards globally, safeguarding against misuse and future threats. And throughout, these principles keep coming up. Worker-first approach, unbiased AI, constant vigilance.
And it's important to remember this deep dive into the plan, it isn't just about high-level policy talk, right? It's presented as a strategic roadmap, one that aims to shape the future of work, technology, national prosperity for future generations. It's a specific vision for how the U.S. plans to stay ahead in this incredibly fast-moving technological landscape.
Absolutely. And the plan itself uses that striking phrase describing AI as bringing an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once. That's profound. It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What kind of golden age for human flourishing does that truly imply? And what parts of our daily lives might be transformed in ways we can only just begin to imagine? Something to really ponder, I think, as AI keeps reshaping our world.